Hello there. Good to see you again. Quite a bit has happened since we last met. We sent Penta to Kingdom Come, the Illuminate took a bite out of the galactic map, and we lost against Cyberstan. More important, however, are the fruits of my labour. With the success of my patriotic ramblings, the Ministry of Truth has seen it fit to bestow me the prestigious C+ rank citizenship. I now live with the added benefits of better housing, a pet goldfish, and an extra 30 seconds on my work breaks. Due to the nature of my work, they have also upgraded my equipment so I can continue to produce only the lowest quality content. This simple upgrade will be deducted from my weekly pay in small increments over 6 years. In return for their boundless generosity, I wanted to shine a light on a weapon I don't see anyone talking about, something that's recently become a guilty pleasure of mine. Today, I'm looking at the Force of Law's finest, the Pacifier. For those unfamiliar, the Pacifier is a 55 damage medium penetration assault rifle and one of the 2 weapons in the game that applies stun medium to its targets. While it notably has lower than average damage, the weapon boasts a high fire rate to compensate and is one of the fastest long-range options to apply stun. This serves as an incredible utility not only for yourself, but also team members who might be fighting at a distance where damage fall-off starts to take drastic effect on your weapon. The medium pen is a very important and somewhat unique stat on this weapon, as very few primaries have the luxury of having both stun and medium. Unlike this weapon's light pen contemporaries, your stunning ability broadens significantly, as being able to penetrate medium armor eliminates one of the biggest restrictions faced by this weapon's archetype. However, I also want to advise that you don't focus fire against medium armor, but instead use it as an opportunity to stun a target and focus on a weaker region instead. Due to the way that damage is calculated, if a weapon's penetration is equal to the armor it is shooting, you only do 65% of the intended damage. Understanding armor regions is important to this weapon's game plan, and I will cover what those ideal regions are. Now you might still be wondering to yourself, what on earth is stun medium? Well, to understand the gun, you must understand the stun. All status effects in the game are influenced by 3 important game mechanics: a weapon's status strength, an enemy's status resistance, and status decay. Most enemies will have a minimum resistance value that must be built up to before anything will trigger, and a maximum that ensures an effect cannot be built up forever. Alongside this, all status weapons have a status strength that is applied to the target per shot/pellet. The Pacifier has a strength of 2 and triggers stun medium when the minimum is reached. Returning to what I mean by medium, there's actually 4 different strengths of stun. Small for 1.5 seconds, medium for 3 seconds, large for 5 seconds, and massive for 10 seconds. Once an enemy is stunned, their most recent action will be cancelled and they will stand idle for the duration of the stun. In the case for today's subject, that will be for 3 seconds. Finally, we have the status decay. This refers to the gradual loss of status strength that has been applied to a target and starts the moment that status buildup has begun. Due to this, I found that almost all enemies needed 1 more bullet to stun them than the numbers suggested. Knowing this, I will show off how many bullets are actually needed to stun a target, alongside what their resistance values are. Now that we're all caught up, we can move away and talk about how well this weapon operates against the enemies of our great democracy. Starting with the ult. How you fight basic enemies like the troopers isn't usually affected by the weapon you take, but the Pacifier does offer a bit of a unique niche to this matchup. While they still get destroyed pretty quickly by this weapon, they also get stunned in one shot, offering you a bit of a grace period against enemy reinforcements. Moving up the ladder, we have the Berserkers. While the strength in these enemies lie in their devastating melee damage and often numerous numbers, these attributes are only further pronounced by their speed and ambushing tendency. When you're forced into situations like these, immobilizing them becomes one of your greatest options. You only need 4 shots or 2 bursts to stun these units, and I would recommend immediately targeting their stomach region once they're idle. This is one of the few areas without any durable protection, so focusing on this region is the quickest way to dispatch berserkers. In a similar vein, the Devastator family also shares the same stomach weakness and resistances as the Berserker, only needing those 4 shots or 2 bursts to pin down. Unlike the Berserkers, however, each Devastator variation offers different methods of stunning them, creating alternate moments for team synergy. Heavy Devastators are the infamous example that comes to mind, with their massive shield protecting the front of their body. If you find yourself the target of these units, your best options will be to either shoot their exposed leg or gun arm, dropping their shield and revealing their stomach region. However, if it's your fellow Helldiver that's under attack, you should take advantage of their massive backpack as a method to stun them, dropping their shield for your desperate team member. Much like the backpack, the shoulder pods on rocket Devastators provide a lot of extra room to stun these units, stopping them from spamming rockets at the team. However, these pods are designed to take as little damage as possible, being assigned with 100% durable damage protection. As such, once they're stunned, you should stop firing at these regions and immediately focus your fire elsewhere. Moving on, we have our Scout Striders, with these mini-walkers only requiring 5 shots or 2 bursts to stun. When these units get stunned, the entire walker leans forward, actually exposing the head of the operator on normal Striders. Unfortunately, reinforced Scout Striders do not share this weakness, but stunning them will prevent the use of their barrage rockets. When you engage these upgraded Scouts, just focus fire on their waist, as it's their weakest region and results in a quick kill. If you have the option to do so, you can also target their rockets for an instant kill. As for our larger enemies, Hulks are probably one of the most team-reliant, but also team-rewarding uses for this weapon on the bot front. In most normal cases, getting behind a Hulk to shoot its vent can be challenging at the best of times. However, if you have a team member leading it from the front, then the back is all yours. Stunning these machines only requires 6 shots or 2 bursts, but I will always recommend pumping more shots into them where possible. Unlike everything else we've covered so far, Hulks have a much larger gap between their minimum and maximum resistance. Another useful thing to know is that Jet Brigade Hulks lose their vent weakness. This once unarmoured region is now occupied by a jump pack with medium armour, something that the Pacifier's unique attributes still allow it to stun. Over the course of my testing, I also discovered that their jump packs are so big that you can hit them from the front. This is an incredible boon for this weapon, offering you a consistent method to defend yourself and teammates in situations where you both lack the anti-tank. That about wraps up the... The plan originally was to finish this segment with the Hulks, but Arrowhead has finally blessed us with the Cyborgs. These units offer a bit of a unique matchup with the Pacifier, both being stunned in one shot, but also having the body health to take some damage. The Radical is the easier of the two to deal with, sporting no armor and no decent long-range options. What they lack in range, however, they make up tenfold with their shotguns, melee attacks, and massive numbers. Sometimes, raw DPS is simply not enough to deal with the waves of these cyborgs, and you will be made the victim to their onslaught. Stunning becomes key here, shutting them down mid-sprint and leaving them open for quick headshots afterwards. As for the Agitators, their strengths lie in their range combat and ability to buff nearby automatons. Stunning these units not only stops them from attacking you, but also prevents them from dodging shots and taking cover, a unique behaviour exclusive to the Cyborgs. This also helps keep them still, so it's easier to strip them of their armour and begin damaging their main health. Eliminating them will also stun all controlled automatons for a short period, making it even more worthwhile to single out Agitators as soon as possible. Now that wraps up the automatons. This is probably my favourite faction to use this weapon, as there's a lot more medium armour here on average than the other two factions have. Moving on, we now have the bugs. Just like the troopers, the Pacifier only needs one shot to stun all of the smaller bugs, giving you extra time to kill your target and prevent reinforcements. As an added bonus, this weapon allows you to better deal with hive guards, one of the few basic enemies in the game with medium armor. While we're on the topic of reinforcements, I want to examine the Brood and Alpha Commanders. These bugs are known for their devastating charge attacks, the ability to call in warriors for backup, and a tendency to run away from fights where possible. Alpha Commanders will also call in a special type of warrior, that being the Alpha Warrior, a much quicker version of the bug who will quickly overwhelm you if you are not prepared. Taking the offensive against these enemies is ideal, as all you need is 4 shots or 2 bursts to shut down their game plan. Stunning them early will also prevent them from calling reinforcements, making the situation a lot easier to handle. If they've already got you in their sights, however, you can not only stop them mid-charge, but you can also stop them from escaping in the moments where they try to disengage from the fight. Unfortunately, these enemies are absolutely covered in durable protection, providing no real weak spot of a sort to target. With that said, focusing its head is still one of your best options, as by the time you pop its head it will be stunned, making it immobile as it bleeds out. Next up, we have the Nursing and the Bile Spewers. These units are a bit more simple to deal with, as they only need 5 shots or 2 bursts to stun. This weapon offers a bit more utility against the Bile Spewers in particular, as you are no longer impeded by their armor moving from light to medium after difficulty 6. As such, this becomes one of your best options at interrupting their mortar attacks at long distances, allowing you to reach them easier. Due to being such massive targets, they are also covered in strong, durable protection everywhere but their head. Take advantage of their size to stun them, and focus on their head for a quick kill. As we delve further, this wouldn't be a bug segment if we didn't get to talk about them. Much like the spewers we just discussed, stalkers are also covered in durable protection everywhere but the head. As a result, this leads into a very similar game plan. 4 shots or 2 bursts is all you need to stun these bugs, and should be followed up immediately by focusing their head. Being able to lock these units down for a full 3 seconds is incredible, not only for yourself, but for team members who find themselves ambushed by these predators. And speaking of which, the predator stalkers are the exact same defensively, and unlike normal stalkers, you get to know in advance if you're going to be facing them. Moving on, we have the chargers. How you face these enemies is very similar to the hulks, as they're tricky to stun when you're by yourself, but very easy and rewarding in a team setting. Chargers will get stunned in 6 shots or 2 bursts, and is another enemy that has a large gap between their minimum and maximum stun resistance. As such, you should fire more shots where possible to extend how long they spend idle. These enemies also have a gimmick where their armor can be destroyed to expose the flesh underneath, giving you a much easier target to stun them from the side and even the front. Due to just how durable their flesh regions are, however, you will almost never kill one of these with just the Pacifier. You will be forced to reload, so you want to waste as little time as possible doing that so they stay immobile. Reloading from empty takes about 2.8 seconds to complete, but doing so before the magazine is empty will perform a tactical reload, only taking about 1.8 seconds instead. Even though it's only 1 second, the time you save performing this action really helps you lock down larger enemies and is more than worth the 1 or 2 bullets you sacrificed to do so. One of the most challenging aspects to this enemy are their charge attacks, a full force frontal assault that often kills us instantly or leaves us ragdolled for another bug to finish off. Usually we don't have a way to stop their momentum from the front. That is, unless you're the spore charger. The spores that grow from their body leave them exposed to this weapon, allowing us to stun them from all angles without needing to destroy its armor. Finally, I want to discuss the Rupture strain as a whole, as they're the most unique of our current strains. Across the board, this weapon will help prevent these enemies from burrowing away, especially useful if you can lock down a Rupture charger. You'll also have a much easier time dealing with the Rupture warriors, whose head and front claws are uniquely medium armor. Who the Pacifier truly excels against, however, are the Rupture Spewers. They still get stunned as intended, but doing so when they pop their heads out forces them to climb out of the ground and then suffer the stun, extending the overall time that they cannot attack your team. And that finishes our assessment on the bugs. My second favourite enemy to use this weapon, as the sheer variety provides many different methods of using it. Finally, we now get to examine the squids. The voteless will get stunned in one shot, but that doesn't really matter given how frail they are, so nothing really changes. What does change, however, is how you interact with the Watchers. These little drones are the galaxy's greatest hide-and-seek champions, often only letting you see them for a split second and calling reinforcements. All you need is one shot to stun the Watchers, completely stopping it in place and cancelling their actions. This has helped me put an end to numerous reinforcement attempts, allowing my team to focus on the fight in front of them. From this point on is where things get a little weird. Starting with the Overseers, they take between 3 to 4 shots to stun. I have no idea why they do this, but weeks of testing got me no closer to an answer. That aside, stunning grounded Overseers is an excellent way to halt their advance and get a better target for their head, as it's the only region on their body that isn't protected by armor that you must first destroy. However, I find that the best application is against elevated Overseers. Those 3 to 4 shots is all you need to induce them with a migraine, putting an end to their constant dodging and weaving. This combined with their low health helps make quick work of elevated Overseers. Not many enemies left, so now we have the Flesh Mob. While these hulking masses can be held down by 6 shots or 2 bursts, they become stun immune the moment they begin charging. This is quite unfortunate, as stopping their most dangerous attack would have been an excellent use of this weapon. As it stands, you're better off stunning it before it attacks, so you or a team member can destroy as many of its faces as possible. To end our list today, we have the dreaded Harvester. Despite my weeks of research, I couldn't find a single source that detailed what their stun values were, so I had to test that through trial and error myself. It takes 12 shots or 4 bursts to stun a Harvester, which is an uncharacteristically high number of shots, given that the next highest was 6. It's not impossible to stun, and targeting these leg joints or its eye is your best bet to do so. I would recommend trying to stun these units with something like the stun grenade instead, or simply going for the kill as quickly as possible. It feels unfortunate to end this on such a sour note, but the lacking enemy variety combined with some inconsistent... What? Are you serious? Yes. Well then. New illuminate enemies! Only days before I started editing the illuminate section, the devs thought it would be even funnier a second time, and added new enemies. Finally, thank God. There's also only 3 of them, so they won't take too long to analyze. The Obtruders share the same resistances as the Watchers, only needing 1 shot to freeze them in place. This helps a lot when you've been surrounded, stopping them from buzzing around like massed flies. Next up, we have their mechs, the Gatekeeper and the Veraciter. Both of these machines only need 12 shots or 4 bursts to stun, but how you apply it slightly differs. The Gatekeeper is covered in heavy armor, making the pilot seat your main method of preventing their ranged attacks. Designed to be the complete opposite, however, we have the Veracitors. These mechs are melee oriented, charging forward to close the gap so they can grab you and begin pummeling. Fortunately for us, the bulk of their armor is medium, making it extremely easy for us to shut them down mid-charge and to even save team members who weren't able to outrun the crab mechs. Doing so will also drop the arms that protect the operator, but instead of focusing the shield, you should aim for this headpiece up the top. This here is the shield generator, and it exposes the pilot for a quick kill afterwards. That quick detour helped end things on a much higher note than it was going to. While the lacking enemy variety combined with some inconsistent bugs did make this my least favourite faction to use this weapon, it feels invaluable when you're fighting the Appropriators. From this point on, major enemies I did not discuss will either be immune to stun, or the Pacifier does not have the means to stun them. To help dispatch enemies you can stun, however, I want to take this moment to discuss stratagems and armor sets that pair well with this weapon. The Bullet, the Flame, and the Laser Guard Dogs are an excellent choice to take alongside the Pacifier, offering you solid DPS alongside your stun. As for the armors, Siege Ready is the obvious pick, especially now that we have a medium set in the Superstore. This armor offers you a 20% increase to your reserve ammo, while increasing your reload speed by 30%. If you find yourself wanting protection against getting ragdolled, however, Rock Solid is another fantastic perk, helping prevent attacks like bot rockets and overseer melee swings throwing you to the ground. Now that I'm done here, I want you to go give the Pacifier a go. Unlock the Force of Law Warbond, or if you see one lying on the ground, pick it up and give it a chance. I guarantee you'll use it better than the last guy did. When I was originally planning to cover this weapon, I was unsure whether I wanted to cover just this or make it a double feature with the Pummeler. Upon giving it thought, I really didn't want to test two whole weapons and then be forced to specify every single matchup difference between the two. So to just keep things simple for me, the Pummeler also has the same status strength as the Pacifier. If the target has light armor, the SMG should stun them in the same amount of shots. Now with that cleared up, I have a few things to attend to. Until we meet again, have fun.